Welcome to the Happy, Healthy Life Podcast with your hosts, Rob and Randy, who reveal the truth, the lies, and confusion about health so that you are no longer the victim to mainstream medical dogma and you are the hero to your own happy, healthy story.
Hey there, and welcome back to the Happy Healthy Life Podcast with your hosts, Rob and
Randy.
And we are
the
Happy Healthy Guys. So welcome to another edition of the Happy Healthy Life. And we are fresh off of coming back from Dave Asprey's Biohacking Conference. We're going to talk about things biohacking today, how to be able to make sure that you're getting the best out of your biohacking technologies. We talked about that last time, what our opinion of biohacking was. We talked about the definition as well. I think we have a better appreciation for it after coming back from the conference. We'll talk about that. We're also going to continue talking about our trip to Spain. We're going to talk about our test results. You guys will know whether or not we actually are happy or healthy. And it's going to be a great show. So thank you guys for being here. We have people coming in and watching from literally all over the world. If you would, in the chat, let us know where you are watching us from so we know where you're watching from. I know we have somebody on here that's from Hawaii for sure.
For sure.
And so, Chris, it's good to see you. Where's everybody else watching us from? As you guys are typing that in there, we'll get this show started. So let's talk about the biohacking conference. We got people coming in from, let's see where Santa Maria, California. All right. Awesome. Where else? We've got Colorado, Amsterdam. Love it. Love it. Awesome. Literally people from all over the world. So the biohacking conference. So what was your impression of the biohacking conference, Dr. Randy?
Man, I was super impressed. Obviously, there's all these incredible technologies that are there. A lot of technologies that, we were really exposed to even almost 14 years ago when we were in Spain. I was kind of making a joke earlier. If anybody is a George Jones fan, the song "I Was Country" when country wasn't cool. I think we were biohackers before biohacking was cool, because we saw all of that stuff. Don't make me sing it. That's a great song, by the way. But no, I was impressed, but I was really most impressed with being around people that are like-minded, that want to help other people live their best life. There's something healing about that. In fact, we even had the privilege of getting to hear Dr. Joe Dispenza talk about that and how powerful that mindset is. So I think that was the most impressive thing. I think there was over 3,000 people at this event. And we've been to events, I don't know, how many events have we been to over the years? Thousands and all over the world. This may have been one of my favorite events. And it also invoked a little curiosity in both of us on, as we're putting together, our new Happy Healthy for Life program, and how we're going to have a really upper level program for you guys who want to go to the next level. Things that are proven to change mitochondrial health that I've been using, we've both been using for years. And so I'm excited about that as well.
Yeah, so if you're ready to go to the next level, you may actually be in our program right now. You may have finished our program. If you want to learn how to be able to go to the next level, type in the chat, yes. And that's going to be something that we're really excited about. As you guys are going through program, you're losing weight, you're now learning how to keep it off. There are higher levels that you can be able to get to when it comes to your health. We've got yeses coming in. And so we are going to, and this is going to be to our clients only. We're going to be launching that in July. So you guys be on standby for that. We're getting everything ready and put together for that. So it's going to be exciting. We're also going to be, actually, I take that back, not in July. We're going to actually launch that at the end of this month. And so that's going to be for our clients only. What we are going to be talking about in July, we're going to be talking about, and I'm really excited about this because as we were talking to people, even at the biohacking conference, there's so many people who are wanting to go. So I think it's going to sell out very quickly. We are going to be launching our new retreat. So that is going to happen. So we're going to do that in July. So you guys be on standby for that. And so, so at the biohacking conference, I thought it was really cool because, like you said, all the things that we've been teaching, and we've been learning over the last 14 years, are the things that they were talking about this weekend. And the new appreciation that I got for biohacking, what I talked about on the last episode was how bio means life
Yeah.
and hacking means hacking life. Well, nobody really wants to hack life.
Uh-huh.
So now I have a newer definition of that. And what I really learned about biohacking really is about creating that environment where better things are more likely to happen in your body from a biological standpoint and getting there as quickly as possible so that you can really be enjoying life for as long as possible.
Mhm.
So if there's a technology that's out there that can be able to help you get to a place of wholeness and healthiness as quickly as possible, then you can be living healthy and whole for as long as you possibly can and really be able to create just precious moments more often because you are a healthy, whole, and healed person to be able to do that. So that's really the appreciation that I got. And it was neat too, being able to listen to people. Like one of the speakers there that we were blessed enough to hear from was Damon John, the guy from one of the sharks from Shark Tank. And he it's amazing to see how he's now stepped into this world. He's that person, and he said it. You know what? No matter how much money that I've made throughout my lifetime, there's my wealth can never replace my health.
Yeah. Being the
And
richest guy in the cemetery is never the goal, right?
never the goal. So he was even talking about putting these strategies in place and really receptive to learning
Yeah.
how to be able to really live a happier and a healthier life. And so and I looked at it and I'm like, you know what, Dr. Randy, there is no better way to hack your health or hack your metabolism than the program that we have. After looking at all the people that were there trying to find this or that technology to
Mhm.
be able to help them, there's no better technology than our program to be able to get people to a higher state of metabolic health than anything else in the world. I truly believe that.
No, I believe it more now, if that's even possible, coming out of that weekend, just because that's one of the big mistakes that a lot of the biohacking world makes. It's a mistake that a lot of us make is you skip 2, 3, 4 steps forward before you've handled the basic foundation of health, which really is having a healthy metabolic profile. And it was very obvious because the lead sponsor of this entire event, STEM Regen, and our good friend Nicholas Zaldestani, who now works with that company, who's gone through our program, lost 35 pounds. He's been trying to pull us into the biohacking space for years. In fact, he wanted to call our program MetSet. So he wanted to move us into that category. It's a MetSet biohack, hack your metabolism. And it just never felt right to want to move into that space and call it that. But I get his point because we were able to take a man who's done everything in the world, who's got access to all the top doctors and the biohackers, yet he was still 35 pounds overweight and hated how he looked and felt. And then we quote, hack his metabolism in 5 weeks, 35 pounds later, and his whole world is different. And a lot of you know what we're talking about because you've been through our metabolism program. You've been through Happy, Healthy, Thin. Some of you guys have done 1, 2, 3, or 4 rounds of this program, healing all these metabolic disruption patterns, laying your foundation. So I think that is the mistake a lot of people make is they're not laying down that strong metabolic foundation, which is why we so uniquely were positioned there to help so many people. You know, how many contacts of people did we meet who've got, $100,000 biohacking technologies? And we're like, hey, he goes, what do you guys do? Well, we're metabolism experts. Well, what do we do with that? And then we obviously talk that out with them, give them pricing, and they're like, they couldn't even hardly believe that we were able to get a result like that for what we charge, which is interesting. So kudos to you guys because y'all are the real biohackers because you're hacking your metabolism, you're laying down your foundation, and that is step number one. So that was my takeaway as well. But it was really cool to have that endorsement from so many key people there who know. In fact, even the founder and president of STEM Regen, Dr. Christian, who interviewed us there at the biohacking conference, he even now is wanting to do our program as well. And he's one of the smartest doctors that I've even been around. So pretty exciting.
Yeah, and listening to people that were talking there, they were really singing our song.
Yeah.
We even listened to, and I think this could even be a whole podcast episode on, honestly, is we're listening to Naveen Jain. So he's a billionaire. So he created a company that takes people, that's going to be taking people to the moon. He's created another company called Viome, which is all about gut health, and some of the things that he was saying, and he's just a brilliant man. But he was talking about having like proper nutrition, which is what we always talk about, real food nutrition. He's like, without that, nothing else matters. And then he talked about the importance of reducing stress. And by the way, we're getting ready to do a podcast with an expert in the world of stress reduction, because we know that the more stress that you have, the more it raises your cortisol levels. The more you raise your cortisol levels, the more it puts your body into fat storage instead of fat burning. That's a huge component that I think people forget about so much, because they're so busy doing things, which is one of the reasons why you're stressed out, that you don't know how to actually remove that stress component. So we talked about the importance of stress reduction. He even talked about exercise, walking after meals, which is something that we always talk about as well. Not being in, so we also teach people that you don't have to be dependent on exercise when it does come to losing weight, which is a great thing. However, when it comes to reducing stress and physiologically speaking, exercise is a good thing as long as you're doing it in a way that's healthy for you, which is one of the components that we're putting into this program that we're going to be launching at the end of the month. Because one of the biggest questions that we get from people is, how much should I be exercising? Or how much exercise is too much exercise? Or we even get this question because they had like the cold plunge booth there. How much cold plunging should I do? How much cold plunging is too much cold plunging? Is that a thing? And the reality is, yeah, you can do it too much. Because if you're putting too much stress onto the body, that can put your body into a state of fat storage and not fat burning. So yeah, you can do too many biohacking things too often that can put too much stress on your body. That is a thing. So they had talked about the exercise. They talked about the importance of sleep. The next podcast guest that we have coming on, and we'll let you guys know who that is very soon. But we were just talking to her this morning about things that you can be doing practically every single day in order to be able to get the best sleep, because that's important when it comes to your health. And then ultimately, at the end of the day, if you've been on any of our challenges, one of the things that we spend a lot of time on is purpose. What is your why? Why are you doing what it is that you're doing? Which is why we're doing what we're doing, is because our purpose is to make an impact on as many lives as possible, so that everybody can live a happier, healthier life. So
No, so it's a lot to take in when you think about it, but you don't let any of this overwhelm you. It's really very simple. You just get back to the basic
yep.
foundational principles. You master those first, and then these other things that we're going to give you guys access to can help take you to that next level. So that's really what it boils down to, is first, number one, knowing that you are the greatest doctor, the best healing power, that innate intelligence is already inside of you. Knowing that is foundational. Once you know that, then the goal is to stop doing the things that are making you sick. Stop doing the things that are interfering with your health process. That is foundational as well. And then going back to eating real food nutrition. Obviously, the metabolism program is customized. We can help navigate that for you with nutritional intelligence. Obviously avoiding toxins. And then I love the sleep component and the movement and the exercise. Guys, this is also important too. A lot of the biohacking technologies, and I'm sure you noticed this, they're all light and sound and frequency based. Really, those are all the healing arts: light, sound, frequency, energy, vibration. Even your mitochondria, which we talk about mitochondrial health all the time, because healthy mitochondria equals a healthy metabolism. This is something that I was talking to, I can't remember who I was talking to about this, but we were talking in regards to the light therapy that we were using, that biocharge. And they were saying how your mitochondria, only a third of the energy requirements. By the way, your mitochondria, that's your powerhouse in your cells, the energy producers, the lifeblood of who we are, that only a third of the mitochondria's nutrition comes from the food that you eat. The other 2/3 of it comes from light. It comes from the sun, which is all the more reason you want to be under full spectrum light. We sit inside under fluorescent lights all the time. We're in front of this flickering lights in front of our computers. I got my blue light blocking glasses on right now because we're distorting our mitochondria. We're wrecking our circadian rhythms. And that sunlight, natural light, is what helps heal our body on so many levels. So your mitochondria are dependent on this type lighting. It's all the more reason when you can go outside and eat. The sun helps stimulate your parasympathetic nervous system. So that's the part of your nervous system where you're not in fight or flight. You can focus on digesting. So light is very, very valuable, and we don't get enough of it because we're slathering on sunscreen. We're stuck indoors. You know, you're never really getting light on your body. So another foundational principle that doesn't cost you $100,000 to buy a machine, you get it free because God gave it to us. So make sure you're putting that into your daily routine, which is something simple and free that all of us can start being, you know, more conscious of. Because I think we've been told to be scared of the sun, right?
Oh, absolutely. So yeah, we're a fierce society. Be scared of everything. Is what we're taught, right?
Be scared of microscopic germs that you can't
Exactly.
see, right?
Buy my drugs. So here's something that's cool. We can't forget about this. Is like you said. You know what? Before, you don't have to go to a biohacking conference in order to be able to get your body healthy. It is as simple as simply eating real food, knowing what foods that you're supposed to be eating, when to be eating those things, having something that's customized and telling you step by step by step exactly what to do, which is what our program does. It's as simple as that. So if you really want to biohack your metabolism, just get into our Happy Healthy Thin program. Is a reality, because as I'm looking on the screen right here, Thomas, he says, I'm down 30 pounds and down to 14% body fat, which is amazing.
Wow.
Thomas, I'm curious, how long has it taken you to get those 30 pounds off and get to that 14% body fat?
That's
and I'm
incredible.
sure
Well done.
people want to know how long it's taken you. We always get that question. How long does it take and what did you do? So we already know what you did. We just want to know how long it took you to do that. So as you're putting that in there, I know you're driving as well. Don't wreck. Just on program. So 5 weeks. 5 weeks, 30 pounds.
There you go. That's pretty typical for a man, or even typically more if you have to lose it. And there is no piece of equipment you can buy that's going to get you that result. It just doesn't work that way. You have to create the right metabolic environment internally.
Yeah. So, all right. So let's go back to, we said we're going to talk about the trip to Spain. So we left off last time we were talking. We're in Spain. We're there with your sister-in-law, Amy. We talked about the other folks that we had seen there that came, that went there because of listening to us on the podcast, which is amazing that we get to make an impact literally all over the world with the podcast. So thank you so much for listening. We want to acknowledge everybody who's listening with us live, everybody who does listen, everybody who shares the show. Thank you for doing that. You're helping change the lives of millions of other people. So thank you, thank you, thank you. So we're in Spain, and we're hanging out at Dr. Helu's office. One of the things that we wanted to do while we were there is also make sure that we had our own blood looked at by the master, Dr. Helu himself, and have a consultation with him so that he can let us know how it is that we're doing with our health. And so, Dr. Randy, you want to explain what that even looks like? What does he do? How does he know how healthy you are? One of the things that we always talk about is testing, not guessing when it comes to metabolic health. And so what did that look like?
Well, it's interesting because, you know, Dr. Helu does a live blood cell analysis versus, you know, where you get regular labs. These are almost snapshots of your blood. It's like showing up to the Christmas party and you take a picture at the start of the party versus videotaping the party as it plays out over the next several hours. And it probably looks a little bit different than that snapshot, probably especially before everybody started drinking wine. But you're getting a full view of what's going on in your body. So they're drawing your blood, and then they're looking at it under, he has his technology and his microscope that he uses. It's the highest magnification anywhere in the world. And he can look directly at the cells of your body. He can see your red blood cells. He can see your white blood cells. He's looking at organ tissue, and he's looking for things that interfere with normal, healthy metabolic function. I remember going back and we were able to revisit a lot of this with Dr. Helu. In fact, I told y'all I got a great interview with him. We're going to release that on this podcast. You guys will get a behind the scenes peek behind the curtain, so to say, with Dr. Helu. And the conversation that we had, it was very, very powerful. But looking back, when they initially took my blood work, 14 years ago, all my red blood cells were crystallizing and stacking on top of each other. They were very, very sick. My white blood cells were literally eating my red blood cells like Pac-Man. So my whole body was just complete chaos. My liver was completely congested. I was eaten up with parasites. So a lot of you probably understand that parasites, or at least that we've been told that parasites make us sick, but the parasites are there because you're already sick. So just killing parasites without healing the cell and detoxing the body doesn't fix anything. It's not the parasites making you sick. You're already sick. The parasites are there to help clean up the mess. So keep that in mind. Just like bacteria. Bacteria aren't making us sick. They just happen to be there when your body's going through something to help clean things up, to get rid of toxic tissue, to help bind and get rid of poison. So your body's always working for you. So he's looking at all this, and all the protocols he's creating is designed just to not treat any condition, but just to get my body healthy again by removing all these toxins and these interference to my body. And so the blood work was a wreck back then. In fact, he has a metabolic scale of 0 to 10, 0 being you're completely healthy, 10 being that you're dead. He had been a 9.5. So my case was terminal. It was kind of crazy to go back and have that conversation. He didn't tell me it was terminal at the time because I probably wouldn't have made it. You want to put those seeds of doubt into your mind. But here's the great news. Looking back on that, revisiting all of that, you'll get some of that in the interview that I did with Helu. But the biggest thing is he looked at our blood, and he couldn't believe what he saw because, I asked him, how many people's blood have you seen over the years? He's, tens of thousands, maybe more. And he goes, your blood, here's the word he used. He goes, your blood's impeccable. Your blood is impeccable. I don't ever see this. And I'm like, surely you can find something wrong. And he's like, impeccable means it's pretty much perfect. He goes, if I could tweak anything, I would maybe tweak 1 or 2 things. But what it did was, it was really cool because Dr. Helu has a lot of respect for Dr. Rob and myself. He knows we are the metabolism experts. And he was like, guys, what you're doing, because obviously your blood was what?
He said it was great. He didn't give me impeccable, but he said great.
You got the great, I got the impeccable. You could probably interchange those. But the thing is, he's like, guys, he goes, what you're teaching and doing, whatever you're doing, because he doesn't fully understand all the things that we do and teach, but he goes, it works. You guys are in your 50s and you've got the blood work and the health of somebody who's half your age. So it felt really cool to hear that versus 14 years ago, I'm almost dead. And now 14 years later, in our journey, what we've learned and the things that we've developed and all the help that we've had, the studying and the learning and the conferences and the reading and everything that we've done to craft this metabolism program and this lifestyle, guys, I'm telling you, it works. And that's the ultimate hack, is living this happy, healthy life, because I'm telling you, the blood work doesn't lie. So it was really, really exciting to see that type of a blood work analysis. And in fact, I think Dr. Helu was so impressed. Remember what he told us at dinner? He's like, yeah, I need to do your metabolism program. I'm like, yeah, you do.
Yeah, we did.
That visceral fat ain't going to work around your belly. Listen, I love you, man, but that's you're swollen. You got a fat belly. We got to get you. We got to get you on the program. So I think he's ready to rock and roll now.
He is definitely. And I know for myself, and we always think that too. You never know what's going to happen whenever you get blood work or something like that done. And he's reading it. He did say for me, maybe this is why I got the grade. I don't know. But he said one of the things that I could do is improve on the size of my white blood cells. What he meant by that is they needed to be bigger. And so some of the things that he gave me, and this is something that, and I'm only saying this because this is something that everyone can be able to do, and all of you can benefit from that blood work that I had done. But one of the things that he said is to improve the circulation. And this is something for everybody. That's a good thing, is dry brushing. If you don't know what dry brushing is, you can Google it, look it up. But dry brushing is something that you do before you take a shower in order to be able to get your body circulating, improve circulation in your body, getting the blood to where it needs to go to. And then something else that he also said, because when it comes to having a healthier immune system, as we all know, reducing stress can be able to help elevate your body's immune system. So when you're under stress or you're in fight or flight, for example, your body is going to be utilizing energy to be able to help you with, your body thinks you're being chased down by a lion. So it's helping you so that you don't die from that lion. The problem is that when you're in this chronic state of stress. So some things that he gave me to do is he said this, if you guys want to know, type in the chat. Say yes, you want to know. And I'm going to give you the exact things because I'm sure there's not anybody who's listening right now who has any kind of stress. So, okay, there's yes. Okay.
I can't imagine.
So here we go. So one of the things that he said is, and this was, for helpful for anybody, is that before going to bed, and I'm looking, this is like literally my recommendations right here that I'm reading off of. And so I'm breaking all kinds of HIPAA guideline rules, I'm sure, but who cares? All right. He said, before going to bed, write down all that you have to do the next day. And so that way you're not thinking, having to think about that stuff as you're actually sleeping in bed. You can be able to get yourself into a healthy state of REM sleep, which is super important. And then he also said to make sure that you leave your clothes that you're going to be wearing the next day out and ready for you, so that that's not something that you have to think about the next day. So that can help to reduce stress. He said always go to bed at the same hour, making sure that you're in bed the same time every single night. So if that's 10 o'clock for you or 10:30, whatever it is, but be consistent with that. And so if you're somebody that feels like, okay, I can't fall asleep whenever I get into bed, then you may need to get up earlier so that you really run your batteries all the way to dead by the time that you do go ahead and get in bed. And another thing that he said is decrease, no more screens in your room at night. In other words, get an alarm clock like we used to have in the olden days, and stop using your phone as your alarm clock. Leave your phone charging in another room. And for me, y'all, that's scary as heck. And
So it's
so
a big deal because you wake up, you've got your phone beside you, your Wi-Fi, your EMF, and then you're scrolling through your phone as soon as you wake up in the morning, obviously creating more stress.
yeah, that's it. That's exactly right. So put that in another room. And so, and it's interesting because since we've gotten back from Spain, it typically takes me a long time to be able to get my body acclimated back from the jet lag. And I'm sleeping better now than I have even before we went to Europe by just putting these things into place.
Yeah, and by the way, he told me that 14 years ago, that right there. So 14 years ago, he was already saying, because I was so sensitive to EMF back then. He's like, you cannot be around it whatsoever. Now, I'm still around it probably more than ever. We're doing things and we're trying to be better with that. But at least my body was able to adapt better to that, where my blood work was really clean and showing all that. So it was just interesting. 14 years ago, he was already telling us they are trying to kill us.
Yep. And then he said, finish eating and drinking at least 2 hours before bedtime, which is something that I do anyway. And then, here's another thing. And this is, he didn't tell me to do this, but a lot of people were talking about it this week. And it's also something that I know to be true, and I've also done as well, is make sure that your room is as dark as possible. And so a great recommendation is blackout shades. If you don't have blackout shades, get yourself some blackout shades. Because that helps your body know that it's nighttime and it's time for you to go to sleep. So if you're somebody that sleeps like with a nightlight, get the nightlight out of there. Get that room as dark as possible. And also I have on my bed one of those cooling mattresses as well, because that also helps your body get into that REM faster as well when it's cool in the room. So
yeah,
there you go.
Make sure the lighting is going to be flame like a candle, doesn't disrupt your melatonin, halogen, incandescence. But if you're getting hit with LEDs and fluorescence, that's going to completely wreck you. So be very as the sun is going down, you want to honor that and think about that. So yeah, artificial lighting will completely wreck your sleep.
I saw the first time I ever saw that was I was at a friend of mine, John, his house, and John Butcher. They used to make those his dad was the one that started making those little figurines that you would see in people's houses, like the little figurine that had like a
The precious moments.
Precious
Was
Moments.
that
Yeah,
it?
yeah.
Okay,
They started Precious
yeah.
Moments. So I was at John's house, and I never forget. It was like 7 o'clock in the evening, and
Yeah.
all of a sudden the lights started dimming. And so with every hour that
Yeah.
went by, they would get dimmer and dimmer and dimmer, literally teaching your body the correct circadian rhythm. I thought it was amazing. He said that they had the very first smart home there in Chicago before anybody was doing those things. And now it's one of those things where, yes, like you said, I was country when country wasn't cool. They were biohacking when biohacking was not cool. So it's interesting just to see how innately the things that we were putting into place by what it is that we learned 14 years ago
It's crazy.
are things that people are actually doing now, and it's more accepted now than ever before. Nobody would have ever thought to go, you know what? It's okay to not eat breakfast, and it's okay to only eat 2 meals a day, or it's okay to only eat 1 meal a day, or eating vegetables is killing you, or putting seed oils into your body is toxic. These are all things that we were doing way back then that are now more common than ever before. But I think this is that there's also people that are listening to the podcast that a lot of those things are foreign to them as well. So we can never forget that. So if you're that person that you're like, oh my gosh, I've never heard this before, if you're going to do something, just start with one thing. If that one thing is putting the phone, in another room when you're going to bed, make that your one thing. If your one thing is, okay, I'm going to eat just 3 meals a day, then make that your one thing. Or if your one thing is the one that's probably going to give you the biggest bang for your buck is just stop eating seed oils. If that's your one thing, make that your one thing. And that's what we learned also from biohacking. What's the one thing that you can do that's going to have the greatest and most efficient impact on your health right now? Do that thing.
Yeah, I think, in fact, I remember the number one thing Dr. Helu told me 14 years ago that I had to do. And you're probably not, I don't think I've ever told you this, but he said the number one thing that you have to do to get well is you cannot get angry and fight and yell. You cannot get into that stressful state because my liver was so congested. And it was, remember my liver, I've told y'all before, it was swollen and sticking out of my body. And I was like 150 pounds because the cancer was in my stomach. I couldn't eat. But he says you cannot get into fights, yell, or get angry. And at that time of my life, I was in such a high pressured, stressful situation, the emotional stress of losing my father, feeling angry about that. So anyway, that was just an interesting thing. So that's one thing you can do as well, is don't let things trigger you. Because if you get triggered and you lose it, find out. Now I look back and think, what was the good that happened out of that? And then I focus on that, and that's called what I think Dave Asprey called that getting untriggered. So if things trigger you, think about maybe the last time you were triggered, why you lost your cool, why you got angry, why you yelled, why you got in an argument. Go back and look at what was the good on that, see that, and know that you can't allow your body to get triggered that easily, because that is a very, very toxic emotion. And that type anger and that type trigger response, that does damage the liver. It's the same thing as drinking a liter of whiskey. There is no difference. Stress is stress is stress, whether it's emotional, physical, mental, it's all stress. And you can't get rid of it all. That's what the blood work showed, is that, hey, I haven't gotten rid of all of my stress, but I'm adapting to it better. So I'm less flammable, I'm not as fragile, and my body's gotten stronger. That is the great news. So good stuff.
Yeah. So something to always, always remember, something I was thinking about this morning, is that thoughts are things. Okay. Thoughts are energy, and energy creates matter. So the cool thing is you get to choose your thoughts every single day.
Yeah.
So you got to ask yourself, are my thoughts that I'm having right now coming from a place of fear? You might be fearful. You know what? I'm fearful that I'm going to go broke. Here's the problem with that thinking right there, is that like attracts light. energy attracts energy that is like. So guess what you're doing? You're attracting that broke feeling, which is going to create more. You're going to attract a brokenness in your life, which is then going to create more stress. So change what it is that you're saying to yourself, and the thought then change that to, I love that I'm attracting wealth into my life with ease. And start saying that, and you'll watch yourself start attracting that. If you're fearful, for example, I'm fearful that I'm going to become diseased like so-and-so. I'm fearful of getting sick. That's what you attract. You can start saying, I love that I am a happy, healthy human being, and I attract health and wellness everywhere I go. So change it to that. So
that is the gospel. Amen.
There you go. So
everything else is a lie.
Yeah. So thank you so much for listening to the Happy Healthy Life podcast. On the next episode, we feel like you are going to really love the next episode, because on the next episode, like he was talking about getting untriggered, we're going to talk about how to actually get to the cause of that trigger, the emotional cause of that trigger.
Yeah.
Which we're going deep.
We're going to go deep with that. It's going to be fun. And then we'll also be looking for the interview with Dr. Helu. We'll get that released to you guys. You can get that peek behind the curtain there. It was a pretty interesting interview. I know that he was excited to do it because it really was powerful to hear from somebody, because, you know, he's seen so many people over the years, and you'll just have to tune into that. I think you're going to be blown away by what you're going to hear.
Can't wait. So thanks for listening to the Happy Healthy Life podcast. And remember, as always, like it, share it, comment, leave a 5-star review. It helps, not only helps you, but it helps impact the lives of other people. So thank you so much for listening.
Love you guys.
Thanks for listening to the Happy Healthy Life podcast. If you enjoy the show, make sure to follow them on Instagram at the H2 Life, or on YouTube and Facebook at the Happy Healthy Guys. Don't forget to like, subscribe, follow, and review the show wherever you listen to podcasts.